You're listening to Coffee, Chaos, and ProdSec. I'm Karen Walters, the AppSec and DevSecOps builder trying to automate the world. And with me, as always, is Kurt Hendel, a battle-tested security architect with a zero-trust worldview. We turn real-world security chaos into conversations that actually matter. Grab your coffee, and this is Coffee, Chaos, and ProdSec. There, I've done it. Intro done. Woo! Nailed it as best as I could today with 5 hours of sleep. Yeah, we have two guests here. Paul, Jen, which one do you guys want to introduce yourself first?
Go for it, Paul.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go first.
Was this like a hot potato?
Right.
Okay, I'll go first. I am Jen. This is my second time hanging out with Cam and Kurt here, and I'm back because I like talking about product security. I like talking about malware, and that's what we're here to do today. I am one of the co-founders of OpenSourceMalware. My background is in application security, DevOps. I spent a long time working for the federal government, and it's funny, I was texting with a childhood friend this morning, and she was like, wait, I'm really behind. You started your own company? And so it's been one of those days. Paul.
Good day, everybody. My name is Paul McCarty. I'm the American living in Australia in Queensland. I'm outside right now. The birds are loud. I am one of the co-founders of OpenSourceMalware. Long history in security. I was just thinking just now, I was published for the first time in 2600 in 1991 or 2, something like that. So
wow,
been in the game a long time, and excited to be here. First time on the episode, long time listener, first time caller kind of thing.
One day we'll have that. We'll actually set it up so people can call in and be like, "Taking caller number 1." That would be kind of cool.
First.
Well, everybody else is doing like Twitch streams. They're doing Twitch streams, right? They'll stream on Twitch and then you'll just read off what people are doing. We've thought about doing that. That would be fun. Interact with the fans, have an episode like once a week. So absolutely, AppSec does that when they stream on Tuesdays because what is it? They stream on LinkedIn and YouTube at the same time or something.
Yeah, we do a bit of that as well. If somebody like is commenting, we'll share it and discuss what the audience is talking about or thinking about. I think it's fun.
Yeah, I was so impressed in the last episode, Jen. Like you had it come up on the screen and everything in real time. I was like, oh, this is legit.
Those marketing skills paying off.
Good work.
Nailing it. Yeah. All right. Well, before we get into the fun, comment, like, subscribe, smash the smash, follow, reach out to us on LinkedIn, follow these awesome people on LinkedIn, reach out to them. They may bite. I know Kurt bites if you do message him on LinkedIn. So it always happens. I get messages all the time and they're like, Kurt literally bit my head off for asking a question about the podcast. Through the computer. It's crazy. He hunts you down. Right, so he will literally come to your house and be like, you asked me what on LinkedIn? Happened. What did you ask me?
Don't give Paul any ideas because then I got to travel to Australia.
There you go. You're about to see like 20 LinkedIn messages in your...
Come at me, bro.
He already did it. Like, I'm out. I got to go get on a plane right now.
On a plane, right? Head on down there. You'll hire somebody to come bite him with like a mask of you or something. He'll tape your face onto it. So,
you know what? This is taking a real dark turn.
I do want to say I'm originally from Detroit, so I'd be careful about biting me. Just saying.
I'm not going to mess with Paul.
Fair enough. Well, before we get into the fun, my favorite part, and the part that I need the most, what coffee are you guys drinking?
So as we reviewed, as we were getting ready, I don't have any coffee today. I'm in a San Francisco hotel, and my choice was be late or have coffee. And I may have actually chosen wrong. I don't have my coffee, but I could have plugged in the hotel coffee maker, which is located under the bathroom sink. And I'm going to pass. I'm going to go.
It's a weird spot to put it.
Coffee. It is a really weird spot, but I think I have a cortado in my future. So if I could manufacture the coffee that I want right now, it'd be a cortado with a shot of sparkling water on the side.
So nice. I am actually drinking coffee because it's morning here. Everybody else, you guys are all in the US, and so it's not morning. But here in Australia, you can hear the birds are singing. It's morning, and I am halfway through my second. I don't know exactly what roast this is, but be a local roaster here on the Gold Coast. I drink At home, I drink what we call inside my family a ghetto mocha. Have you guys ever heard this ghetto mocha?
Oh, I have no idea.
Enlighten
All right.
us.
A ghetto mocha, and this is from Detroit. This is, my dad invented this, or so that's who I got it from, my dad, many years ago. But basically, a ghetto mocha is drip coffee with some hot chocolate powder, dripped into it. So basically, you could order it back in the day before there was mochas and stuff. You could order this from Arby's or McDonald's or whatever. My dad would do that, and so here we are, however many years later, and I drink a ghetto mocha every morning when I'm here at home. Even though Australia has amazing espresso drinks, like the coffee here is the best I've found anywhere in the world, straight up.
It's a bold challenge.
Try ghetto mocha.
All right.
Again, come at me, bro.
Don't tempt me. I bite. I might show up for the coffee first.
First, get some coffee. Yeah, fair. Well, I am drinking Mr. Brown, the caramel latte with natural flavors iced coffee, and I'll show off the can.
Natural
Very
flavors.
nice.
I question that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what is natural flavor? What is what is natural flavor? I always see it all the time, and I'm like, doesn't feel natural if you have to say it's natural.
Like which flavor?
I like that it's called Mr. Brown. Remember that whole conversation in Reservoir Dogs about, I don't want to be Mr. Brown. Can I be Mr. Pink? Like, anyhow.
I haven't watched that.
Mr. Brown is back.
Yeah. It's the easy one, low amount of caffeine. That's what I like about it. It's easy with low count, and it is almost 6 o'clock here. So, Kurt,
I'm on my third cup of coffee for the day, and I got new beans. I thought about this. I put them in the machine last night because I've been boring for a few weeks. And so it's from Doma Coffee Roasting Company, and it's Bonnie's Blend. You got the bag. It says it's a medium roast, caramel, pecan, and molasses on the flavors. Pretty good.
Molasses. Interesting.
Has notes of citrus and nutmeg.
Yeah.
It's good. I'm drinking it just
straight up.
This is black coffee.
So
that's
you do
how
really
you
get
know
the
it's
flavor.
good.
Yeah. Wow. All right, Kurt leveling up the game.
All right.
That's a new one. All right.
Late in the afternoon, just jet black coffee. I'm going to be going for a while.
Yeah, he'd be good for the night. So, all right. Well, where do we want to start the conversation? So I know last week was crazy. We definitely have to talk about last week. That was spurred my conversation after everything was going down. I was researching, reading your guys' blogs, following other folks, following you guys, posting my own LinkedIn posts, informing my own teams internally and for other people I know, and even this community. I was posting like in real time. Every time I'd find something, I'd post it in our Slack or our Discord, trying to give folks updates on what was happening as I'm searching and finding things out. We'll get to that. We'll leave everyone suspense in that one. So I reached out to you guys, was like, we got to do an episode on just everything that's going on and bring you guys on the show, and we'll just talk about whatever we want to talk about. So the first thing I wanted to just jump in before we get into the fun of what happened last week. Why'd you guys do what you do? Why'd you start this whole thing that you've, for me, it's like my pivotal thing. I read literally your webpage. I go on your blog every day. Every day.
That's awesome.
So
thanks, mate. I'll tell you, man, like all good tools are born out of necessity, right? And the reality is that I had a startup, that I started in 2017 called SecureStack. We were an early player in application security posture management, ASPM, AppSec kind of product before that acronym was created. And we dealt with the first of two software risks, which is vulnerable software, right? And that's all application security companies deal with that. But the whole time I was building SecureStack, I kind of had this other problem in my head, like nobody's addressing this other software risk, which is intentionally malicious, intentionally bad, created by bad guys. And here's the thing is that, less than 5% of vulnerable software is actually attackable, is actually exploitable, right? The data says that CVEs, between 1% and 6% of those are actually attackable. But 100% of malicious risk is bad, right? And so why are we not dealing with this? So anyhow, fast forward, I was looking for a way to to deal with incident response, and kind of other research needs. And I was using OSV and GHSA, and both of them are not particularly good at giving you more than is this thing malicious or not. And so I decided to create something, and last year I vibe coded up something on a weekend, and as they say, the rest is history. And Jenn was nice. I met Jenn at an OWASP event and kind of was talking to her about what I wanted to do, and she ended up joining me. So I'll send it right over to Jenn.
Is that like, I have to say, is that how we all met you? Because I met you at LastCon, which is an OWASP event. Kurt
possible.
met you at, what was it? Oh, but that was
B-Sides Seattle. Yeah. It's adjacent. Paul and I met at the OWASP Pacific Northwest Conference, which I think is defunct, unfortunately. 2 years in a row, there hasn't been one. So I guess the last one that happened is where we met up in Vancouver, BC.
That's
and
sad.
It is sad. I think they did a great job with that one, and I wish we could see it get restarted.
I think Farshad, my co-leader for the SPVS project, is part of that. I've talked to him. I'll talk to him tomorrow. I'll be like,
yeah, the Vancouver crew is just excellent. Like in terms of active OWASP chapters that just deliver every time. I've been up there a couple times to speak at their events, and like it's always a full room. They do a really nice job.
Yeah, I've spoken at their events before too as well. It's a very, very full room and good pizza.
Good pizza.
It is good pizza. Yeah. So unlike Paul, every job I've had has been in a slightly different market. And so I've, like I said in the intro, I've done government, I've done DevOps, I've done AppSec. And so when Paul asked me to join him to co-found OpenSourceMalware, normally I like to do something kind of totally different when I leave a company. And this is that exception where I had been working in the software supply chain space for a while, but more focused also on vulnerability management. And I remember it must have been 2023 talking with my previous team about the malware detection capabilities that we had. And at the time, nobody used them. Nobody cared. They worked. There was a policy you could turn on. They weren't charging extra, but it was just such a low level of awareness in the industry that malware is a problem, and that it's not necessarily easy to stop it, but you should turn on anything that is easy to turn on. So moving into the focus on open source malware, what Paul and I really share in common, and Cam, what you said in your intro, makes me so happy. We both want to offer something to the community that helps people know what's safe to use and provides useful, I'm not going to say unbiased, but I'm not going to say tool biased, because Paul and I definitely have opinions. But, we're not, when we write up our blogs and stuff, we're not pushing products. We just want to help people understand the risk better and what you can do about it.
I think this is my favorite part, right? When I dive through your blogs, your pages, everything, I love that the tool specific is out there. And I love that your guys' opinions are there because I like your opinions. So maybe I'm a little biased, but it's forward thinking. It's phrased in a way that we should be thinking as an industry. Because what are we seeing right now? We're seeing a hockey stick level of attacks all around open source malware, open source in general. So with that, it makes sense. And to have an amazing source that you guys provide, it's I don't know, invaluable. So stoked to have
Thank you.
Have that every day that I get to jump into and read your guys' blogs and be like, all right, what's the next disaster that's happening right now?
Thank you. That's so cool to hear, man. Because when we built this, you don't know if you build it, if people will come, right? And the reality is that in this case, we built something, and the people have definitely come, right? We've got thousands of people around the world right now that, pull our data every day, our free data, 100% free data to protect their organizations. And that's just super, super fulfilling for me personally that, something I built, is actually delivering for people. So I'm super stoked.
Yeah, I know from my side, the biggest concern I was thinking about sources like yours is that with like NVD and CISA like kind of losing their funding, and over the last few years they've been eroding away, and we're losing critical sources, and what's picking that up is vendor specific sources that you either have to subscribe or you have no access to.
Right. We're in like a really hypercritical, or not critical, that's the wrong word, competitive time right now, where, like, to your point, there's no unbiased, or there wasn't an unbiased source of this data, and there's just so much pressure on vendors right now to keep things confidential and limited to subscribers, that there's just not a lot of incentive to do this.
And even spicy take here, this is spicy take number 1 for the day, right?
I'm ready.
Even OSV and GHSA, which were the first 2 places that you could go for free and find advisories on malware. Now, the advisories don't typically have that much information there. So, like, for example, in a post-incident scenario where somebody's installed one of these, neither one of those 2 things gives you a lot of value there. But it absolutely does in terms of keeping up on top of it. And I've written an open source tool that pulls data from OSV and GHSA. But the point I'm driving at here is, in both those cases, OSV is actually a collaboration between Google and the Linux Foundation, OpenSSF, right? And Google, just to be clear, is a 4-product. They're a money-making operation, obviously, right?
Yep.
So certain kind of parts of OSV, I wish were more open and more transparent, aren't, because Google has interest there. And the same thing with GHSA. GHSA only publishes malware pretty much about. Malware advisories about NPM packages, which they obviously own. Microsoft owns both GitHub and NPM. So, even for those like things that people see as being open, they really,
they don't feel open
maybe as we think that.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I feel. As somebody who uses and looks at all these things all day long, it was like, I don't know. I still haven't put the finger on it or whatever, but what you guys provide, I was like, this is what I was missing, and holy smokes, yes. So let's pivot to more like what's happening, right? You guys are finding things all the time. Right now is exploding around. I don't know, we can go straight into GitHub if you want to talk about GitHub, because that destroyed my day for a couple of days last week. It was crazy. I think it was an eye-opener.
When you said last week was a crazy week, for a moment I had one of those, when was the last time we didn't have a crazy week?
True.
Since about mid-March, it's just been nuts in the malware space in a way that is not good at all. I think I'm talking to people every day who are burned out. We have a friend that we talk to a lot who's just constantly, dealing with incident response. They're constantly being attacked by state actors. Like, they're just tired. But the GitHub thing, let's start there, because that was nuts.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys want to break it down first and then dive into it, because I have from my side an interesting thing and why it was so different from the previous ones. You guys want to take us through what
happy
happened?
To. So the GitHub compromise is a little different from the other things that we've been encountering this year. It was not an account takeover. Nobody published malware on GitHub. However, TeamPCP, a threat actor group that's been behind a lot of those, was able to gain a foothold within GitHub and claimed they had a couple thousand private repos from within GitHub, not, people's repos, but the company's repos, that they were prepared to sell. And so that's where we started last week. And very quickly, our community looked into it, and what we learned was that they had been compromised because a developer had consumed a compromised VS Code extension from NX, which NX was actually compromised last year also. So this is the second NX-related account takeover within, we'll say, 8 months or so. And so we have account takeover on this VS Code extension, which was consumed by a GitHub employee, which enabled TeamPCP to get remote access.
Yeah, but it was only open for what, like 36 minutes?
Yeah, it was really brief, but as Paul and I were talking about last week, and we covered it a bit more in depth on our own live stream and podcast, just because it's up for a brief amount of time doesn't mean it's gone once it's removed from a marketplace. There are lots of ways that these things linger on the internet and can still be downloaded. And we don't necessarily know when the GitHub employee downloaded the bad extension. We don't know if it was within that time period. GitHub's been very close-lipped, tight-lipped, whatever the right phrase is, about exactly what happened. They've published a couple of very brief blogs, whereas NX has done a postmortem on the incident. You can go to their blog and you can see the full explanation of how their extension got compromised. But Paul, maybe you can talk a bit about where you can get these things when they're allegedly gone.
Yeah. I mean, I've written a tool called Undelete. It's on NPM. You can go and find it. And basically Undelete allows you to pull things from CDNs and other places, after packages have been removed from NPM or PyPy. And I wrote that tool because, when I was doing research, if I wanted to take a look at a package and analyze it, which always involves, I do this dozens of times a day, in an automated fashion. You download the tarball and you blow it apart and, you expand it and you take a look at it and see what it does. And I've got a whole, system for doing that. But, if it's been removed from NPM or from PyPy, I still want to do that. And so I wrote Undelete. Again, like I said, it's on NPM. And it'll help you do that. So and I think that it's not just the CDNs or the mirror systems, or it's also like where people store these packages, and that's everything from their own workstations where they might have either automatically or manually downloaded packages to, Artifactory and other places where you store these things internally or on the edge of your organization. So I guess this is important because Jen and I hear a lot, it's been removed from NPM or, in this case, the VS Code extension marketplace, Microsoft's marketplace. Oh, the threat's gone. And just to be clear, that is not the case. The threat is not suddenly wiped out of existence. It still lives on in other places.
I think that's the biggest thing with these attacks, though, is the amplification, right? Like they know they only need to hit the source for minutes, because then you have the CDNs, the distribution networks, the caching layers, people who pull it, they store it, they propagate it. So,
and we're seeing the window get smaller and smaller, specifically with the account takeovers. And I think we should differentiate between an account takeover and other types of malicious packages, because with an account takeover, you have a human who originally owned that now poisoned thing, who an advocate for it, who can go to whatever registry and say, hey, this was taken over. You need to shut this down. I'm locked out, or they can pull it back. Like there's somebody who's keeping an eye on that. And so we're seeing the time that those are live getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Certainly the 11 minutes for this extension to get removed from VS Code's marketplace, and then 36 for VSX is one of the fastest that I've heard. Yeah. Doesn't hurt that it is probably faster when you work at GitHub to get something shut down than it is if you're external. But there's a ton of. I got
you would hope
there.
so. You would hope so.
You would have, yeah.
What if it took
but there's
them,
a ton of malware that doesn't get removed.
Yeah,
disappointing.
I think that's a really good point. And so we spend a lot of time right now talking about these huge ATOs, account takeover style compromises, right? Chalk, debug, Axios, what have you. And as Jen says, the time that those are malicious is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. But we also, there's the whole part of the industry, and a group of researchers that I'm part of was kind of dismissing typo squat and dependency confusion packages or attacks, and as being not but the problem is those things stay alive a lot longer. So yeah, not as many people are pulling them per hour or per week or whatever, but they stay alive a lot longer. So for example, there's one right now. I let NPM know about it multiple days ago. I don't remember, earlier or late last week, whatever. Events dash channel. It's an npm package. It has info stealer in it. It's a typo squatting, and it uses it uses the name of an important function inside of JavaScript, the events emitter, and they've also been able to kind of take advantage of some MCP servers. So this thing is becoming very popular. It's been downloaded 40,000 times already this week. Now you might say 40,000 times, that's not that many, but if you've been compromised by something, it doesn't matter if it's been downloaded 40,000 times or 40 million times. It still is a big deal for your organization, and it still might mean like this kind of systemic problem. Existential is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, for your organization. So I want to make that distinction.
Well, and we see threat actors targeting newer technologies before they could really get up and like running and get more mature. And so, you think of typo squatting as, a 0 instead of an O or something like that. But what is more common is to create packages with logical, sensible names that do exactly what they say they do, and insert them into these ecosystems that don't have those things built out yet. And so, you're going to adopt a new technology and you think, oh, there's this thing that I can use that does the thing that I need. And it really only takes a few vendors, like Paul said, if it's embedded in some popular MCP servers, they can get a blast radius that's much larger than just the download numbers that you see on the registry.
Yeah, I mean, this sounds about right. Like consistency, the time, like all those things kind of factor in. And looking back at the GitHub one, that is a prime example of one person compromising an entire org. So it doesn't matter the downloads at that point. It was one person. And one thing that set me different, or that I felt was different about GitHub, is GitHub was owned by Microsoft. It's a very big company. They're well-funded security team. Supposedly, I would say in general, probably very proactive in their security program, well-funded. And they were compromised through this very obscure, and I wouldn't say, I want to say it's not common. And by common, I mean talking to CISOs. And for me as a leader in the product security AppSec space, I was able to communicate this to my own leadership in a way that I could never in the past.
Right.
I can say, hey, a company that is 20 times well funded for their security team was compromised by one thing, literally one thing in this domain that traditionally in the AppSec world, I think all of us have just been like, let it be loose, right? Like, the likelihood of somebody compromising a dev system, you would ask somebody 10 years ago, they'd probably be like, it's pretty low. Today, it's like, that's becoming the number one risk. It's becoming the most critical thing because everybody's targeting it with AI, all these different things. There's so many more vectors and the keys to the kingdom. Yep. Everyone's finding. I know Kurt talks about this all the time.
The visibility into what developers are using is terrible.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right?
Knowing
zero visibility.
What are your developers using? And what secrets do they have on their laptops? If you can't answer those two questions, then you are a very tasty target for somebody.
Well, traditionally, Kurt and I go into an organization or talk to other folks, and we're like, go to your dev systems and see if they have keys to the prod, right?
Yeah.
Kurt, do they have prod? They probably have prod.
Oh man, it hurts because obviously I talk a lot about identity and. I mean, where you find credentials, how things are compromised. Like, identity is the easy button. That's why we see attackers using it, because you could phish somebody, you can create a malicious package, you can typo squat if you're patient and persistent, which people aren't anymore. Maybe that's why we see the accelerations. But as you are all talking, I was thinking back, like, I remember people who would install like MIRC add-ons and they would get malware via those. So like, this isn't a new problem. It's a new flavor that now operates faster at scale. And I think attackers have found a way to hit the gold mine that is the dev system finally. And that's just going to make attacks propagate faster.
100%. And I want to get back to something that Cam said like 5 minutes ago. Microsoft actually got done twice in this attack chain, right? Because the original compromise was via TANstack, right? Then an individual developer then pushed the bad guy with those compromised credentials, then pushed the NX console VS Code extension, which by the way is not called And if you look at the name of the actual extension, it's not called NX Console. It's called NRWL Angular something or other, right?
All
so
right,
that's
thank
part
you
of the
for
problem.
that. I hadn't sat down. I've been meaning to go dive into that. I've been diving so many other problems that are going on right now that I was like, everyone keeps saying this and this, and I'm like, I assume they're the same thing, but everyone keeps saying console, and I was like, but everything I'm reading says the opposite.
Yeah, it's like it's this is part of the problem with because people ignore dependency confusion and typo squatting as, oh, who's gonna be dumb enough to like put a 0 in instead of an O or
a lot of people.
Well, here's the problem is that teams are building things and they're naming them quickly and not really thinking about. So for example, NX Console, right? It's actually called NRWL-Angular something or other, right? One of the most powerful typo squatting attacks I've ever seen was for a package called Web3-parser. The actual library that it was copycatted was called Web3. Now, what this library actually does is a very popular NPM library. What this library does is it actually takes Web3 events and then emits them to a specific location that you give it, right? So this copycat did exactly what it did. So it actually did the good thing. It did the actual behavior it was supposed to, but it also sent all of your Web3 events, to the bad guys, right? They exfilled it to their own place. But here's the thing is that they actually named their malicious version something that was more understandable. They called it Web3-parser, which is what it does. The actual version called Web3 doesn't tell you it's a parsing library, right? And even worse, the GitHub repo is named something different again, and there's multiple ways that they name the same project within their ecosystem, and that's the problem. This is how typo squatting
the same
is still
thing
a thing.
happened when the whole Claw Hub Open Claw fiasco happened. So rewind back to January. Here we go.
That was only 5 months ago. Wow.
I know. We were so young.
So naive.
So naive.
Nope.
But
they was the first poop show of 2026, right?
Good job, Paul.
Didn't say that word.
No, you didn't.
That's a clean.
That's a clean cut. No, they had to rename the agent a couple of times because of IP issues, right? Trademark issues. And so as they were going through these renamings, it made it very easy for typo squatted domains to get set up. And if you go back and you, even right now, if you go into Google right now and search for Claw Hub, not all of the results you're going to get are genuine. You will absolutely, I found them while I was developing the talk that I'm here in San Francisco to do. I found them while I was searching for the legitimate Claw Hub. And it's that moment that threat actors will find when something hasn't quite built up the credibility and stability to be known as the right one, and they'll take advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean, you give anybody an inch and they take a mile, so it makes sense. So, I mean, typo squatting, for me, has always been a concern. I think majority of organizations are concerned. There's majority of companies have typo squatting just on their own domains, right? They try to buy or block out or knock them out for that. So it's it's still a very relevant thing. And if people think it's not, I'm a little confused because I'm like, I guarantee your company has an entire, at least person whose job is, hey, there's these other typo squatted domains coming up and they're pushing people to malicious things. Issue takedowns, right?
Yeah. I mean, for example, Socket came out with a blog post this week about this campaign called Trapdoor, right? And then we looked at it and, there's nothing really kind of unique about Trapdoor. It's basically just, dependency confusion and typo squatting packages by the same, there's a couple cool little things that it does inside of it, but a lot of researchers were dismissing that, saying that it wasn't actually something to talk about. And while I kind of agree with that on some level, my dog's trying to grab something. Sorry.
I thought the chickens were attacking you.
All the wildlife is converging on Paul right now.
Right? I was waiting for that. I was just going to look over and he's holding a chicken.
Sorry, I had an executive decision here. No, bud. The point I'm driving at is that, those packages can still be very powerful, especially in the age of AI slop squatting. So that events channel package I was talking about that's been around for a while, it looks like a lot of the reason that it's become very popular is because AI is suggesting it, because its name makes sense within the context of how the AI is looking for it. And so that's another way these things are happening, right? So like you put all these things together, and typo squatting and dependency confusion are still big problems.
Makes sense.
It's the AI, the rapid adoption of AI. Now you have people just unleashing agents autonomously. Like I was talking to a vendor about agentic coding security today, even though I was talking to them about something entirely different. But they brought this up, and now that you're talking about it, it's like, if you're just going to let AI go forth and prosper and pull whatever packages it wants, like, how are we going to stop this from propagating?
All these people are talking about how AI is, AppSec is dead because of AI. It's the opposite. Like AI is creating so many apps. But Jenn and I wrote this blog article, last week or the week before that, talking about these patterns that we've, seen where AI, full stack tools are creating these patterns. There's so many security issues inside of these patterns. And then you add on top of that the non-determinism inside of the LLMs, which will like do the bad thing, even though you've explicitly told it, stay within these guardrails. Every once in a while it just goes rogue.
Yeah.
I mean, I was at an event a couple weeks ago where we got asked for our kind of like sort of hot take on what the industry is going to be like in 3 to 5 years. And what I said at the time, and I think I stand by it still, but I'm curious what you guys think, is I think that there is certainly a real possibility that vulnerabilities in code will decrease. Auto remediation will become more viable, and we will probably see the AppSec job change in a way where right now I talk to a lot of people that their job is really just vuln management. And I think that's going to go away. I'm not saying that means code will be clean. To your point, I think there will be other things to solve that are probably more interesting problems about architecture, about access, that are maybe not about the software bugs. Now, none of that's going to fix the malware problem, but I think there's a possibility vulnerabilities will no longer be the cornerstone of the job.
Yeah. I think that makes anytime I see somebody say AppSec's dead, XYZ is dead, what they're really saying is come look at me and follow me, because I need followers.
Yeah.
The other thing that they're saying
is that how you do it now?
That's how you do it, I guarantee you. But I do it all the time. Skyrocketing.
Does it work?
Yes, I'm gonna have to try it.
Perfection. The other thing they're saying is that XYZ is going to change. That's what they're really saying, is that the people who don't realize that they need to upskill, change, who haven't been upskilling, who haven't been focusing their craft, maturing their craft, those are the ones that should be nervous. And it's a statement, I think, to shock people into, hey, realization that you got to change, which, that is met with a lot of frustration, because there's a lot of professionals who have families and kids and XYZ, and they're like, I don't have the time I had 10 years ago to sit down and study and do XYZ. I matured my craft, and I meant for that craft to stay forever. And I'm like, but no offense, like, you're not in woodworking or something like that, right? Or your thing is not tech is not stagnant.
Tech is constantly
changing. Yeah, and we're in an age of acceleration. So that's what I always think whenever I see somebody say something. I'm like, all right, those are the two things that come to my mind, which makes sense. AppSec, DevSecOps, ProdSec, everything within security is changing, and it's changing because it has to change. We've been stagnant. There are people who have been doing the same thing for 20 years and thinking that is okay. It's not okay. Like, we got to change and mature, and the only thing that's really going to shock us is some massive change, which is happening right now. And I think that's driving a lot of scared people, as well as a great time to mature your craft and upskill yourself. So I don't know, it's my hot take. Kurt, what do you think?
I mean, as someone who has very limited, I feel like you were talking about me, but not really.
Wow, no, that wasn't shots fired at anybody.
Throwing shade. No, I'm kidding, but
bananas.
It is bananas. But as someone who has very limited time to continue maturing the craft, like you're going to fall behind and get left behind. So use these tools to accelerate your learning. Like, yeah, AI can find you information fast. That doesn't mean trust it. I don't trust anybody. I work in security, so everyone thinks I'm nuts. But that's why we say trust but verify. Now, part of what we do here every week is maturing that craft, because we do research, we find topics, we talk to people like Paul and Jenn. So your learning can be part of your work. You don't have to sit here and be like, oh no, my job is dead because AI can do it. And like, AI still can't do what I can do. It can do part of it. So find those things that make you shine and lean on them. And then use AI to make yourself more efficient, because if you can just snap your fingers, right? It's really easy. No, find ways to make it work for you, and then lean in on the things you enjoy doing more that AI can't yet do.
I think meaningfully, we have another year at least of finding the edges of what it can do well, and what was a little bit of snake oil, perhaps. And there's a lot of incentive right now. Yeah. To say that, it can do everything and
tokens.
Tokenomics.
That's
the thing I'm seeing in the industry right now. Tokenomics. It's going belly up. Everyone's starting to realize they need to make profit. If they don't make profit, their investment's not going to flow. And then all the beautiful tools that we have cheap right now are about to become very expensive.
Didn't Microsoft just like fully acknowledge that it costs more in tokens than it does real developers? So it's like, are we about to see the reckoning where it's like, actually, we're going to keep some humans?
Reminds me of what happened in Detroit in the 80s when the crack pandemic hit, right? All the crack dealers would give away crack for either free or dirt cheap, right? And then, when people got hooked, like we all are right now on our agentic tools,
tokens,
price goes up.
Suddenly the price is going up, right? So they learned from the crack dealers and
no, but that's just a traditional. Wow. It's a very extreme analogy.
That's
very
supply and demand.
All right.
That's how you end up with a ghetto mocha.
Yeah, I guess so. but that's common in tech, right? That's common. Like, you go out, you give your product, you supplement it, and then after a few years, the price goes up. Like anybody who's worked with startups or any kind of company, that's how it usually goes. You get in the foot ground, you earn your customer base, and then
you raise venture capital, right? And
you venture capital.
When you're going to return dollars. Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, we all acknowledge
we're coming up to 3 to 5 years.
This is different in the sense that this is like a systemic underpricing of this core kind of primitive that we're all built on, right? Because of venture capital dollars and all that other kind of stuff. So I'm interested to see where it goes.
Is it different though? Like, look at what Uber did to taxis. They were cheap and they got you hooked, and taxis kind of disappeared for a minute, and then they became part of it, and there's all kinds of weird stuff, but then the price went up, and yet here we are. We still use Uber and Lyft, even though they cost more in some sense. And then
they also deliver a better value, right? Taxis in San Francisco are gross.
And then you got the Waymos where they get stuck in a loop in Austin, and Cameron's friends
that
get
happens
trapped
all the time. All the time. There are Waymo loops in Austin. Just saying.
I didn't get the privilege of seeing them, although I kind of want to experience one for just like 3 minutes. Like,
you just get to see it go around in a loop.
I'm not getting in a Waymo. Right? I'm sorry. I have too many friends who have gotten stuck in them. I'm not getting in a Waymo. I don't want to be that beta customer.
The same thing happened in video rentals and streaming, and I'll stop naming tech giants that upended an industry, and then like they killed an industry and then they became it. So are we just following a well-known pattern at this point?
Well, that's just capitalism, right? That's just extracting, money, revenue out of systems.
This is how you kill your competition.
All right. Let's bring it back to OpenSourceMalware.
Thank you,
all right, back to NPM. Let's bring it back. I gotta reel you guys in.
The bad guys are doing it with malware.
Yeah, malware.
Malware is always free.
NPM, it's bad. It's a real bad time. One thing I thought was interesting is everybody's pushing cooldowns. This is the big hot thing is the NPM cooldowns. What was it? Visual Studio, where the plugin was, they didn't have a cooldown, but they've had a pull request or some kind of recommendation for that for like a while, and now everybody's like, why don't you have this? My thought is, all right, that is one layer of a defense. And are we going to now expect that everywhere? Like literally, is every IDE going to have to roll out cooldowns? Is every NPM has it? I'm pretty sure. So hoping all other package managers have it. Is that like, but that's one, but everyone's treating it like a cure-all.
Well, like, you're right. It's only one thing, but you absolutely should do it also.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of that, it won't fix everything, but I don't know. There's probably some stupid healthcare or castle guarding metaphor I could pull in here if I'd had more coffee.
A front
you
door.
Know, you're still not going to leave your front gate open, right? There's something, the bathroom coffee. So for anybody tuning in on, it's not toilet coffee.
The problem is that InfoSec still doesn't know. InfoSec still doesn't know how the software sausage is made, right? And so what happens is you have them jump on these simplistic things. Cooldown periods, absolutely part of the solution, not a bad thing. I'm not saying they're a bad thing. They're good. But they're, like you said, Cam, one, defense in depth, right? They're one kind of thing that you need to use. Now, here's the problem is that I hear a lot of people advocating for 7-day or 30-day cooldowns. And here's what's going to happen is, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
What's going to happen is
I'm going for 3.
Some big vulnerability is going to come out. Nobody's going to be patched because they're cooldown periods. Keep them from patching. Then we're going to have a vuln apocalypse for that specific CVE or whatever. And then it's going to swing back the other way, right? This all feels kind of like SBOM did 4 years ago, where people that didn't understand how software was made or deployed or published, right? Talking about these simplistic, tools as a way to solve everything. Like, if we get a bill of materials,
not going to solve it. I hate SBOMs. I'm just gonna say I hate SBOMs on the record. They frustrate me so much because of what you're saying there. They treat it like a cure-all. Same with cooldown periods. I'm like, these are not cooldowns or cure-alls. These are tools that are in conjunction, require a lot of other things. Kurt, sorry, go. SBOMs.
I mean, I'm coming at. I used to build software. That's how I got my start. I know, Cam, you did the same thing. And I think, Jen, you did too. And I'm assuming, Paul, we just met and became friends, but you sound like someone who knows how to build software, and yet we're all security people. So why are we still struggling with this problem of not knowing how to secure software when we understand how software is built?
Well, because we're unicorns. Us right here are unicorns in the industry.
1000x, yo.
Yeah, we're special. I think that I hate to call it a problem because that implies that there's something wrong. Where cybersecurity came from was not the code side. No. And so if you think about cybersecurity as a discipline, it's everything, not everything but code, but it's firewalls, it's access control, it's lots of things that aren't the code itself. Paul and I were talking to somebody last week who has been in security and in threat intel for a long time and wasn't aware that there was a difference between a vulnerability and malicious open source. And I don't want to come across like I'm, bagging on that person, because that's the reality for most people in security who are not already in a ProdSec type role or came from development, is they just don't have that background. And there's so much to learn about how software comes together. So I think, the reason that people get convinced that SBOMs are a, cure-all is the same reason people get fooled into thinking, all I need is a cooldown period and everything will be fine. It's because they don't understand the dynamic nature of code.
I think the malware problem too is like the industry is still changing. Like our operations teams, when you say, there's a malicious package, like, what do? We don't know where the code is and how to respond. They call Cameron.
Exactly.
And so that needs to change, and maybe it's starting to, but then too, if like we have EDR software, we have all these things that have been designed to catch classic malware, and they're all signature based, and they're easy to hide from. And now enter open source. Attackers have been like, well, there's all these things that, frankly, a huge population of devs are pulling unchecked that the scanners can't catch. Goldmine. I can steal your credentials. I can infect your systems. I can give myself a backdoor into your system. And I can't help but sit here and wonder, like, why now? Why is this only happening now and not 5-10 years ago?
Well, there's a whole lot of things there, man. Like, AI certainly has.
Let me unpack that.
I just wanted Paul to like light up and be like, I'm going to get this one.
Well, I mean, sorry. One way to answer that, one kind of angle to come at this is just the fact that, like, I'm going to say something that's very trite. We all know it, which is that AI and LLMs have allowed bad guys to gain capability that they just didn't. TeamPCP is a great example of this. TeamPCP last year was dropping XMRig on EC2 instances they pwned. Very simplistic, silly, like a crypto generation kind of stuff, right? And now, at the beginning of 2026, all of a sudden, they're accomplishing these very kind of nuanced CI/CD cache poisoning attacks, right? And a big part of that is the LLMs, right? That they bring a capability to these people that they, a skill that they didn't have before. And so that's a problem for all of us. And I know we're all talking about that, but the reality is that at volume, like I'm probably seeing 4 or 5 net new info stealers every day. Like I'm in the guts of this. I look at more, payloads probably than anybody else on the face of the planet. Well, maybe not, but anyhow, I look at a lot of payloads, right? And I'm seeing 4 or 5 net new info stealers per day. How? Because of LLMs, right? Like the reality is they're generating these things for people that don't know how to do it. And then you can see the patterns because the LLM is using, the last time somebody asked for that thing, they use this pattern, they use the pattern again, and then you can look at it and you can see the rings on the tree, right? Going back to this kind of shared origin genealogy. But that doesn't mean that they're not successful.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing is that TeamPCP is great for, like, this is one thing in the episode I want to say is that these are opportunities for us security professionals to advocate for more security, because somebody like TeamPCP is like, they're banging a trash can in the middle of your dining room. It is obvious, 100%. It is loud, but what we should be concerned about are the people who are not. The people who don't want the clout, the people who want to just compromise for money. They're doing it stealthy. They're doing it quiet. So for every actor that we find out there that like TeamPCP, there's probably 200 that are moving slow. They're owning just enough to, make their money, and they're trying to be as quiet as possible and get as much money as possible and have as little clout as possible. So that's 100%. The thing I'm communicating.
I think
my
you're
leadership.
Absolutely right. I've been looking at the data that we have in open source malware, and I wanted to look at attribution in particular, because we get asked about this a lot. Oh, but who did it? Oh,
we lost her.
I'm back. Am I here?
You're back.
You're back.
Okay. Sorry. Sketchy hotel internet. In 2026, 78% of what we've seen on open source malware has no attribution. We don't know who did it. And I'm convinced the only reason it's not higher is because TeamPCP has been so self-promoting, so noisy, as you put it, Camera. Like they just make me think of every like obnoxious YouTube gamer like streaming, smash that smash. Like that's the vibe that I get from them. Most threat actors are not noisy. Most threat actors don't want you to know that they've been in there, right?
That's fired.
Well,
so I don't know that this is new. I think it's just new that it's, people realize it's happening.
TeamPCP is a blip. It's an anomaly, right? And to Cam's point and your point, Jen, North Korea, DPRK, Lazarus Group, made $2 billion last year on contagious interview, right? I guarantee you that TeamPCP didn't make a tenth of that, didn't make a tenth of that. And yet everybody's talking about TeamPCP. It ain't TeamPCP that's like hounding, crypto companies and Web3 companies right now and driving them insane. It is DPRK. The amount of scale and volume that they're creating, enabled by LLM in a very boring way. They're using LLMs to build stuff at scale and to generate all the infrastructure they need to be able to do everything way more. It's gone from 1x to 1,000x to 10,000x, right? That's who, ultimately is going to be around after TeamPCP gets done and we figure out who they are. DPRK and all the other threat actors that do this in the quiet, to your point, are going to still be around compromising people, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They're trying to win the popularity contest. So is it just a bunch of kids while the professionals are out there making billions?
I mean, yeah.
What it seems like.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like.
They've done interviews, which is also not typical of threat actors.
Good marketing department, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. They're there for the likes.
Well, we don't know what's true and what's not, right? Like them calling out socket and all that, Jen. Like we don't know what's true and not.
That was interesting.
Well, I don't know if you saw, Paul. Somebody was recently pretending to be the CEO of Socket on.
Yeah, for us.
They had they were trying to pretend to be Faraz and get somebody to clone a repo that was clearly malicious. So interesting behavior by threat actors to either complement or imitate security personalities. Very weird.
Yeah.
I do think it's funny that Frost particularly hasn't been singled out more, because I mean, like 30% of the JavaScript that I use every day is written by old mate Frost, right? And it's not surprising that, I mean, I'm sure he's
being real paranoid, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I hope so.
So as we
Cameron, you brought it up a couple times about like getting budget for this.
Yeah.
And I think that despite this just being like not a fun time for security and for developers, it's also a really good time to be asking for budget and for not just dollars, but the program attention that malicious open source desperately needs, because it is something where you need to have good awareness in an organization that it's a problem. Unfortunately, all these attacks, it's rare that I talk to somebody who doesn't know that this has been going on. And so this is such a great opportunity to get those resources for when TeamPCP is quieter and it doesn't really seem like it's as big of a deal when we know it still will be.
Yeah, exactly. So as we could drive this episode to a conclusion, that was one thing I wanted to have everyone going around and be like, what are your final thoughts or key takeaways that people could give? Mine, I'll kick us off, is cooldowns are not the cure-all. I wouldn't even say, like library firewalls. That's what I also see everyone pushing a lot hard. Like, hey, get something where you cache your CDN or cache
There's
your own
a lot of that right now. Yeah.
There's a lot of that. And I'm like, but that's a really heavy process. Like, a lot of teams don't have the technical understanding, bandwidth, the buy-in, the clout to spend to do that. And they just don't. That's a 6 month at least organizational dev procedural change that is not going to be quick. And everyone says it's going to be quick. And I'm like, it's not going to be quick.
It's so easy to bypass that too, Cam. Like, it's all those things do is they just make an alias. They literally are just an alias calling out to Python.
Yeah.
Or sorry, to your package manager, right? And all you do is you actually call the path, the full path of that app, and you just bypass it right there. They're so easy to bypass. And people do it every day because they get in the way, right?
Yeah, so what are you going to do? Throw on and
I'm not saying they're bad.
Yeah, but then what are you going to do? You're going to enforce it through like an always-on VPN so that you can block all that traffic, to block the domains. So then you're getting even more heavy-handed. Like, that's where I'm like, it's not the only solution. That's why I like cooldowns, because cooldowns, most of the time, like 99% of risk that you're going to encounter is found within the first, let's say 72 hours. There are always going to be those edge cases. I'm just throwing numbers out. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong.
I think there's a few things that are like real prerequisites.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think my terrible internet made me talk over you. I think there's some things that are like true prerequisites that are not necessarily a private registry or, firewall on your endpoints. Like, those things are great if you can afford them and if you have the infrastructure to do them. But first, you need visibility into what your developers are using. If you don't have any way of knowing what libraries they're consuming, that's a problem, because you're, dependent at that point on scanning really, really late, maybe even in prod when it's much too late to stop anything. So you need good visibility early. There's lots of ways to do that. Usually it's through various application security tools, and you need really good threat intel. That's the other thing that I would say. Don't rely on just OSV or GitHub security advisories. As we talked about, they're limited in their data. Come sign up for OpenSourceMalware and get a free account and get some of our intel. Certainly see what your vendors have. But I think there's lots of things you can be doing, but without visibility and without intel, I think you're not able to do a lot of those other things.
Makes sense. Any other key takeaways?
I think I'm going to go to an extreme here and say, stop peppering your dev machines with a ton of credentials. Let's go back to basics and start responsibly managing our credentials and vaulting things and using well-known patterns. Well, you could tell that I'm pushing identity security initiatives all over the place, given a few of our episodes, but still, we know the dev machines are a goldmine. Attackers have recognized it. They found a way to exploit it. So make it harder for them, because that's the name of the game, layered defenses. Make it difficult for attackers. Buy yourself time, because inevitably you're not going to prevent compromise. Compromise will happen with a persistent threat actor. So the best
and while you're at it, limit what your agents can do on your machines, right?
That's right. That's part of access management, is do it responsibly. Don't say I need star permissions or wildcard permissions just because least privilege is hard. Think about it for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Or just because you tell your agent, don't put my credentials in source code or in a SQL migration file, right? Just because you tell it, don't assume that it's doing what you say that. Jenn and I, we're working responsibly right now with several of the platforms, but we found tens of thousands of credentials in public repos, the agentic workflows, and all these kind of full stack platforms, Replit and Lovable and what have you, even Claude and what have you. They generate code, and then you tell it to do the right thing. You put the guardrails there, but when it's trying to make you happy by delivering the value for you, it often will just bypass those guardrails and go and do the bad thing again and again. And that's different between what used to happen, right? If you automated something deterministically, you knew it was never going to do that thing again. Well, here's the thing, is that we put the control in the LLMs, and now they non-deterministic just decide, oh yeah, I'm going to do that bad thing, even though Paul told me he doesn't really mean it. Let me put that thing in the .env file and ship it. Even though I responded to Kurt, can I still say my own?
Yeah, of course.
My takeaway would be, how much is your organization spending on AppSec and in ASPM type stuff, right? When the reality is that less than 5% of those things are actually attackable. And then contrast with that, how much is your organization paying to deal with malicious intent, bad guys, nation state actors trying to compromise you, when we know that 100% of those things are actually things that you should be dealing with? That's my takeaway.
I think what you're saying, Paul, is that vulnerability management, while probably required, because you probably have compliance or regulations that say you have to do it. So I'm just going to have to say that.
That's where I was going to say. Security theater.
Yeah, security theater.
Check boxes.
Yeah.
Not here. Get out.
But that's the kind of the world we're living in, right? To bring up your point and what you're saying, that's what's driving AppSec programs, is checkbox security. Yeah. And as much as maybe a lot of us professionals in the field want to push towards that, at the end of the day, we have to meet these checkboxes, right? I constantly understand and talk with other folks that are like, I'm tired of fixing vulnerabilities that I know are not exploitable, but I have to fix them because I have to give my customer a sheet that says there's no vulns. And they don't care. They don't care if you're exploitable or not. It comes
full circle back around to people don't understand how code works.
It really does. 100%. It really does. Yeah. And we deal in absolutes.
Yeah.
The quantum state of it, right? That you that it's not actually, the compliance is driving a lot of this, but at the same time, it's part of the problem. It's both the thing that's bringing dollars in budget into the thing, but also part of the problem too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All righty. Well,
I love emails where people are like, we have a high CVE. You need to fix it. I'm like, do I? I have a lot more questions.
Yeah. Why?
It's in Drupal. We're in Webflow. What are you talking about?
Yeah. It's bizarre. So, my coffee's empty. Yeah, it's bananas. There it is. My coffee's empty. I really enjoyed having you guys on the show. I don't know, last minute comments, concerns, anything you guys want to say before we wrap this up? Bananas? You can say bananas.
We got Jenn to say smash the smash, so I'm just gonna say it.
And I did not say one naughty word, so you won't have to go and edit this, Cam.
Yeah, I think this was a smashing success. Bananas all around.
Bananas. All right, well, thank you for coming on. Like, comment, subscribe, 5 stars, reach out to us, follow these folks. This is
I won't
Coffee.
visit you, don't worry.
This is Coffee, Chaos, and ProdSec signing off.